Right-wingers have been whinging at Bangor University in Wales after Bangor's debating society refused to host a Q&A with right-wing commentator Jack Anderton and Reform MP Sarah Pochin. Yes, that's the same Sarah Pochin who said that it made her angry when she saw lots of black and brown faces in TV adverts and was forced to apologise a few months ago. That's that one. That woman wants to go and answer students' questions about normative ethics, which is what most debates are, for those who don't know. To be super clear, the debating society made the decision themselves, and the university administration was not involved in the decision to deny them. The debating society also don't have the power to ban someone from Bangor's campus, but they did tell them that they were not welcome. Shortly after they received the rejection letter, Jack Anderton posted this video to his Twitter account.
So my name is Jack Anderton. I'm here today with Sarah Pochin MP. She's one of the 8 Reform UK MPs. And we've caused quite a bit of a stir this week because we wanted to hold an event at Bangor University in Wales. It was myself and Sarah as part of my A New Dawn tour, which is touring universities across Britain. And Sarah, we've been cancelled by the university. We've been banned. Why is that?
Well, I'm actually not sure if it's a badge of honour, but all I wanted to do with Jack was go and debate with the debating society. How ironic that it's the debating society at Bangor University who will not debate with us, reform politicians, to hear about our policies. They've called us racist, they've called us homophobic, they've called us transphobic. Where is there evidence for any of that?
And I think really what you're seeing, Sarah, is a wider battle about free speech in Britain and across the universities. You know, we've got the political class trying to censor social media and ban social media from under 16s. And you've got universities who are really not doing their duty in protecting free speech for students and the wider public. Universities historically have been a place of free speech and debate, and they're failing.
And if they don't allow debate, if they brainwash the minds of young people, all that means is that in future generations, the minds of our leaders have been brainwashed. It does nothing for democracy in this country, and we will not be silenced.
Well, we're going to keep dialogue with Bangor University, and if they won't host us, then we're going to do it ourselves.
Yeah, just because they're the debating society doesn't mean that they have to debate you. Like, if there was a pizza society, they wouldn't necessarily have to make pizza for you. Or if there was a reform society, they wouldn't necessarily have to scam you. You know, they can choose not to interact with you. I showed my brother that clip, and his reaction was, "Who's that fetus?" Which I thought was quite good. I think it's really funny that right-wingers think people are left-wing because they've never heard another perspective before, that universities aren't doing their duty in protecting free speech for students unless they make the students debate you. I love the type of free speech where I have to say yes to every debate with randos from boring socially conservative opinions. The reality is that right-wingers just don't know what free speech is. Sometimes people just don't like you, and that's not a free speech issue. So I decided to go on GB News and tell them that to their faces.
Is that two people who are fairly moderate in their politics and, you know, members and supporters of what is the leading political party in Britain, have been sort of that were not welcome on university campuses in Bangor, and it's a really unfortunate situation.
Ben, it's a bit of a contradiction, isn't it, if they're saying that they are welcoming opposing views and clashing ideas, for them to then sort of say, well, we're not going to have you on because basically you're all a bunch of racists, which I don't think is fair. Do you think that's fair?
Well, I think that it would be fair to say it's a difficult situation, but I don't think it's fair to say it's a free speech issue. Like, Sarah and Jack are not being locked up for particular opinions they have, right? Free speech is not the same as the right to a platform. Like, I might want to have, you know, to have a slot on BBC Question Time on the panel. That would be lovely. I'd love that. Most of us here probably would, right? But if they say no, that's not a violation of my free speech. That's just them refusing me a platform. And let's not forget, it was the debating society that said no, not the university itself.
I was going to say, sorry Ben, just to interject, but you can come back on this. It's only because they've told them why they've refused them, because they said they're hate and they're this and they're that. So it's not because they're denying them a platform for no reason. Like, if you were going on Question Time, you might be denied a platform because they haven't got enough room, but they're specifically telling you that we think you're hateful, you're homophobic, you're all of these things, which is why you're not going on there.
Yeah, words hurt. I mean, it's a bit like get over it. Like the point
It's
though
not about
is
helpful
that
words, but
it is
but
it
what I
is
think
about.
it is
Well,
about,
you're
it's
making it
not.
about hurtful
What
words
it is
because clearly
about
it's
is
not
that
it's not a free speech issue.
university-
Okay,
then, is it?
Ben,
Because
we've
it's not
heard
right
you.
on
Let's
platform.
let Jack back in.
Mm.
I don't think Ben hadn't finished
Sure, yeah,
speaking.
go.
That was all. That was all.
Universities
No, it's all
are
right. Go.
supposed to be a space where you can freely debate and discuss ideas, and that was really one of the original purposes for university. Bangor University is a prestigious university. It's one of the oldest in Britain, and the fact that a debating society refuses to hold a debate. As I said, with one of the two figures in the leading political party in Britain, I think that is a free speech problem.
But what are they afraid of, Ben? What? Because exactly as Jack said, it's about listening to different viewpoints. Even if you thought they were homophobic or all those things, you would discuss, debate, and explain to them why they're wrong.
Well, they can pretty much switch on to any mainstream media channel and hear the dry views of reform being repeated again and again ad nauseum. Like, they don't want to platform a party that wants to cut the minimum wage for young workers. They don't like you. Get over it. It's not a free speech issue. And bear in mind, these are university students. They're not media trained. But you know who is media trained? Nigel Farage, and he's still running away from his debate with Zach Polanski. Zach Polanski's challenged him multiple times. It's like, pick on someone your own size rather than some poor students who just want to decide who they can debate with, which is their right. Surely they're running their own university, like debating society. Yeah. I'll post the full debate on our YouTube channel tomorrow with the full debate I had with Jack Anderson on there. Anderton, excuse me, not Anderson, as that was only an excerpt. I didn't have time to mention that Reform's head of policy, Zia Youssef, threatened to defund Bangor University if Reform ever got into power. Now, that is a violation of free speech. So Youssef said on Twitter, Bangor University have banned Reform and called us racist, transphobic and homophobic. Boo-hoo. Bangor receives £30 million in state funding a year, much of which comes from Reform voting taxpayers. I'm sure they won't mind losing every penny of that state funding under a Reform government. After all, they wouldn't want a racist's money, would they? To translate that into plain English, the grubby little unelected bureaucrat is saying that the university should make the students in their debating society, host them, or a Reform government will starve them of their funding. By the way, Bangor University is a world leader in dementia research. So that threat was basically, because you called us some hurty words, we're going to cut dementia research funding. It's the most, wild, ridiculous stuff, absolutely incredible stuff. And he's tweeted about this 8 times. So that appears to be the Reform position. If a political figure challenges you to a debate, you have to debate them, or you're failing to protect free speech. If a political figure wants to debate you and scrutinise your worldview, you have to accept the challenge. Unless, of course, you're Matt Goodwin, who spurned the Gorton and Denton hustings because he said they were biased against him. I'm not going to lie, GB News are pretty biased against me. All 3 of those people I was talking to there are obviously right-wing. At least one of them, Tom Harwood, plays the neutral moderator, which is good. But GB News are pretty biased to the right wing, Matt. That doesn't stop me going on and challenging them. The least you could do as a leading candidate in probably the most influential by-election that we're going to have this year is answer constituents' questions. So, Kieran, I'm interested. Why do the right wing love the aesthetics of free speech and debate so much, but actually hate the actual practice of free speech and debate?
Because they're pathetic wimps. It's an endless snowflakery with these people, an endless white wine. And I would just say, first of all, you did very well. I know it's how it is sometimes debating on GB News. It reminds me of a Stuart Lee joke in which he talks about how an entire generation of people conflated political correctness with health and safety legislation. And they just kind of saw the two as interchangeable, right? So they would say, you can't say anything anymore about immigrants and whatever else, and you can't stick your hand in a threshing machine without some bureaucrat coming and telling you off, right? It's I always thought of that over the past however many years when these debates were going on. These absolutely maddening, stupefying debates were going on, because it was like, who is going to tell these people? I didn't have any kind of platform back then. I was like, who is going to actually try and tell these people, not that they'll absorb it, that this is not a freedom of speech issue or a free speech issue. This is a quibble with free speech. It's a hatred of the reciprocal nature of free speech when free speech is done properly. It's a quibble with the free exchange of ideas and opinions, which is the very thing that they're claiming to be aggrieved about. And so, it was, and then to kind of bring that into the present and to kind of, I suppose, tie a loop on the sinister absurdity. What I always thought and what I always said to whoever I managed to have access to who espoused this view was, come and talk to me about freedom of speech when the police are knocking on your door for saying something. When that happens, I will be on your side. I will say that I find what you say is shitty and offensive, but like a pound shot Voltaire, I will fight to the death for you to be able to say it. And come and complain to me when the police actually, the law intervenes. That's a free speech issue. Toby Young, with your free speech union, that will be the test, not just whether you're willing to support people inveterately punching down, right? And then people responding to that inveterate punching down with their own version of free speech, which is to say expressing their opinion in response to what you're doing, right? And this went on and on and on and on and on. It consumed so much time and energy. We all went mad and we all said goodbye to too many brain cells. And then Palestine action is prescribed. And you can be arrested for saying the words, I support Palestine action. You can be arrested for holding up a sign that says some words, and tumbleweeds from those quarters. Instead, you've got this idiot going on there debating with you, saying that the fact that he can't go to this fucking debate society in Bangor.
Oh.
It is totally plastic. And it's either by design, they either know that what I'm saying and what you were saying is true, or they are so stupid that they cannot grasp the pretty obvious distinction between an assault on freedom of speech and freedom of speech being met with more freedom of speech.
Yeah, he complained at one point that sort of 400 people turned up to protest him, and I was like, that doesn't sound like a free speech issue. That sounds like a you being not a very likable person issue. Like, it's just, yeah. I did
sounds
want to
like
ask,
free speech is in rude health. If 400 people turn up to heckle you and tell you what they think, great, that's freedom of speech, baby. And if that's what you're onto, then you're going to want those 400 people.
Literally, I'm so glad you brought up Palestine Action. I was thinking the same thing. And when I was on there, I was like, should I bring up Palestine Action? But it's like, with Nana or Queer, sometimes it can be really difficult. But I did want to ask as well, because I think it would be a little bit different. I would have the tiniest bit more sympathy because university administrations are not elected, right? I think it would be a little bit different if the university administration had decided to ban somebody, right? This is a student union group, like just a group of students. And I think at my university, you had to have like a minimum of 3 people to create a society. So like, it could just be like literally like 4 students, and they're like, well, we've only got 4 of us. We don't want to debate these national figures or have them come into our space. We just want to get on with our own stuff. But I feel like that's a very different scenario to if the university had cracked down. Do you think that that's a fair kind of like distinction to make?
Yeah, I think that is an important distinction. Debate societies are organs within, and they're run by the students, and that has to reflect the will of the composition. And if people don't like that, they can run against the students that currently compose the debate society. It's more difficult to see how that could happen with a university. And I think we have to be consistent. If a university was saying, as many universities do, that certain pro-Palestine sentiments can't be expressed, that if they were saying certain pro-reform sentiments or whatever can't be expressed as well, that would be administrative at the institutional level within a university, and it would be of more concern. But the thing is, And it's important you raise that hypothetical. But the thing is, it is a hypothetical because it basically never happens. University administration is almost always conservative in its outlook. It's almost always leaning towards the other side of things. It's almost always trying to shut down anti-imperialist politics, anti-capitalist politics. If it is trying to shut down, I'm not saying all universities do, by the way. Some have really rich traditions of supporting campus activism. But many, if they do have a kind of authoritarian bent, it's a bent that points in that direction, not in the... Universities are totally strapped for cash. The sector has been under assault for decades, particularly turbocharged over the past 15 years. And they are terrified of stories in the Daily Mail and wherever else of this kind of nonsense. So I would say important hypothetical, almost always hypothetical.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like it is, and I think it's probably got worse with the commercialization of universities over time. Like I think there was probably a time where there was a bit more kind of left-wing sentiment among university administration. By the way, when we say university administration, it's also really important that we separate them from the lecturers. The lecturers tend to be quite sympathetic to the Palestinian cause, left-wing causes in general. Like I had a few lecturers who held quite right-wing beliefs, but the majority of my lecturers were cool, they were based, they were comrades. We liked our university lecturers.